Let me introduce the moderator for this session, Professor Natsume, Associate Professor at the KEK Theory Center of High Energy Accelerated Research Organization, KEK for short. Professor Natsume, please.
Thank you. I am Makoto Natsume from KEK. I'm a theoretical particle physicist. It is my pleasure to introduce our lecturer, Professor Ryo ESAKI, President of Yokohama College of Pharmacy and Chairman of the Science and Technology Promotion Foundation of Ibaraki. You know, this is the fifth HOPE meeting, but he attended all HOPE meetings in the past. He's the only lecturer who did so. So we should give him another prize of full attendance. Moreover, he served as a chairperson of the very first HOPE meeting. So it all started from him. Now, he was born in 1925 at Osaka. He graduated from University of Tokyo in 1947. He then worked in electronics industry. While he worked in a company now known as Sony Corporation, he discovered so-called ESAKI tunneling diode, which brought him to Stockholm eventually. In 1960, he moved to the States and joined IBM Thomas J. Watson Research Center. After he worked there for more than 30 years, he was back to Japan in 1992 as the president of University of Tsukuba. Since then, he works as president of various universities and foundations. In 1973, he received Nobel Prize in Physics for experimental discoveries regarding tunneling phenomena in semiconductors. You will hear more about the discovery from him. He will tell us about putting quantum principles into practice, research on tunneling and superlattices. Professor ESAKI, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice introductions. You saw my history and the other things. I'm probably most oldest lecturer in this HOPE meeting, and okay. So I was only 20 years old when the Second World War ended. So I belong to the generation that grew up in Japan during the war, graduating right after defeat and going out to the world in turmoil. That particular generation must have undergone a unique experience under the wartime conditions when death and destruction felt all too close to us. We seriously question ourselves. What should be our top priority, the most essential thing of all in this life? We somehow trusted for the truth of the universe. I was fascinated by progress of science, for science has indeed enhanced our human abilities substantially by using power of reason. I dream of becoming a student with inquiring science mind, so I entered physics department, Tokyo Imperial University, 1944. On the evening to the March 9th, early next morning, March 10th, 1945, the city of Tokyo suffered an horrendous incinerated bomb attack by US Air Force, resulting in nearly 1 million victims, including 100,000 dead. I was bombed out of my lodging, but fortunately, I was able to rescue most of my personal belongings. Of course, I don't know much, but rather small personal belongings at that time. Although many people had a sleepless night at the university, I noticed the Professor Tanaka surprisingly began to teach course of classes on experimental physics at 8 a.m. sharp, as though nothing had happened. We are forcefully immersed in the world of physics, leaving the human calamity outside. We are taught that learning had to be top priority no matter what happened. It was then that we realized how awesome the academicism of Tokyo Imperial University was. As a matter of fact, I turned 20 just 2 days after March 12. When 1945, I was a student of university. Revolutionary knowledge of quantum mechanics developed by Heisenberg, Schrödinger, had not yet been widely disseminated. Nevertheless, we students were usually fascinated by introduction of innovative concepts such as energy quantum by Max Planck. He figured out exactly 1900. The quantum model of atoms by Bohr, Niels Bohr, probably 1913 or something like that. The uncertainty principles by Heisenberg, duality of matter by Du Broglie, exclusion principle by Pauli. Those we had recognized far-reaching influence of quantum revolution that had occurred earlier in the 20th centuries. Then I had to think about my future. What should I do with my life? What I'm best at? What is my mission in life? Those are ultimate questions which will rule in future. The main purpose of receiving proper education to get adequate answer for above questions, which is indispensable plan for life. The course of life can be considered to be drama in which you play the leading role. The point at issue is who is a scenario writer. You or somebody else in democratic society, since you can decide your own future, you yourself should be scenario writer. When I graduated university, I wrote a unique scenario for myself. That is, I would put new knowledge of quantum mechanics to practical research in electronics engineering. My approach could be considered to be interdisciplinary, neither discipline-oriented the physics research, nor traditional engineering. In 1945, after I graduated, I moved on life as a researcher in the electronic industry, where I explore the possibility of creating quantum electronic devices. Coincidentally, 1947 was the year which was epoch-making transistor was invented at Bell Laboratory. I think most greatest invention in 20th century, I think that transistor. Advent of transistor is a great breakthrough. There is a tendency, especially stable societies, assume as the future is a simply natural extension of past and present. However, transistor is substantially different from vacuum tube, which was widely used at that time. That no amount of research and improvement vacuum tube could have led to the birth of transistor. This taught us important lesson. In the period of great change, innovations and power of individual creativity, which play the decisive role in the presence. Course of this is this is the most beautiful picture. I have many pictures, so just I showed that I tried to be that dancer, but it turned out I have not much talent of dancer, so decided. So this is the Kyoto. This is the 1945 April. There is beautiful sakura, so cherry blossom in. And this is my student. This is just show a picture of that. This is this is me. So it was advent of transistor that inspired me to study of semiconductor in the early stage. At around 1950, technology PN junction was developed so that when we were made understanding injection junction property, including breakdown. That's the transistor was invented at Bell Laboratory. So McAfee, Ryder, Shockley, Spark. This is a very well-known person at that time. All asserted low voltage breakdown in the jamming junction. They showed it breakdown results with Zener mechanism. Zener mechanism, that is interband, quantum mechanic interband electron tunneling. Tunneling is a result of the quantum mechanical from valence band to the conduction band. However, later study did not support Zener mechanism, where they have many problems of this one. Usually, germanium breakdown is avalanche mechanism. Avalanche means electron holes to the multiplies. After Zener had proposed quantum mechanical, this is a very elegant theory of that. He tried to explain breakdown in 1934. This sophisticated electron tunneling mechanism had never been proved to be important in reality. We may call this proposal is a creative failure. That was the situation in 1956 when I initiated investigation of Zener mechanism in quantum mechanical Zener germanium narrow. We made very heavily doped materials. Heavily doped means that the junction width, you have to very narrow junction width to make a tunneling, observe tunneling. So this junction width approximately inversely proportional square root doping. So this is the junctions. Just small letters. 25,000 ago, Democritus said, everything exists in the universe is a fruit of chance and necessity. So, all right. So this is the PN junctions. This is the regular PN junctions. I put in this very heavy doped narrow junctions. This is the forward direction is not much change, but reverse direction is much smaller. More reverse is backward. Reverse direction is more conductive than forward direction. So this clearly no chance of avalanche. So I'm very convinced of this is a tunneling. This is no question of tunneling. So this is the, then we doped a little further. I got this is negative resistance ESAKI diode. So so in the sense of negative resistance this is necessity invention, what I really intended, but this is sort of surprise. So this is the chance, I would say. So just we first obtain backward that more conducting in first direction than forward. The junction width of diode is approximately 20 nanometers. That was possibly avalanche is completely eliminated because of the breakdown occur at below threshold voltage for electron hole pair production. When increased doping further, about 10 nanometer at junction carry out to this tunneling, not only reverse but also forward direction. So we had the ESAKI tunnel diode, very fast quantum electron device. So this is the junction, just to show to that this is N-type region. This is P-type region and N-type PN junctions. So this is the path of some tunneling path. If you apply the forward directions, you can get the current through this way. But if you more further, there is no place to electron tunnel, so that's current is a decrease. So then after going higher voltage, diffusion current you get. So this is the mechanism which I just show. So this is the mechanism which we just show. So the electron tunneling, this is the quantum mechanical incident wave to transmission. This is very naive. So usually this is the Janus. Janus is the god of this the quantum mechanics, electron possess genus-like dualities. This is the basic of the particle nature of this and this. Genus, this is Japan and the US. So this is if you go Alexandria Museum, I saw that genus picture. So this is the genus picture. I think some of it came from the Egypt, I understand. So this is the birth of 1957, the electron diode. This is Ibuka. He's the president of Sony. He's also a very famous person. So this is just Walter Bratens. He was one of the inventors. These three physicists invented the transistor. The Bratten is one of them. He visited Sony in 1957, and this is a place to that assembling to the transistor at 1957. So this is physical reviews letters I presented to that. This is this new phenomena, and this is a very short page. Probably I won Nobel Prize, the shortest manuscript of this. And this characteristic is that interesting characteristic, and you probably, this is a typical current voltage characteristic when I observed of this one, and this. This is a picture was drawn 150 this famous Japanese woodblock print that you see here is that if you this voltage in the current goes through, and this is oscillate. This is a negative resistance. You can see oscillate. The Mount Fuji is here. This characteristic is very similar to that. Some tunnel diode. And then I went to the 50. So it's physics electronics 19 Brussels. This is I presented of this my papers, and this Shockless. He won Nobel Prize in 1956, and this is conference is 58. So he was keynote speaker. He gives to the most beautiful demonstration of Zener effect so far achieved to present at the symposium Ryo ESAKI. So that as a result of his comment, large audience attracted my presentation. I found myself presenting. So at that time, my English is so bad. So that's why people pay more attention to my talk if I speak very lousy English. But anyway, that's this is Shockless and his wife, and this is. I thought he's very senior, but only 48 years at that time. After Europe, I traveled to the United States and with Bertrand Laboratory, where the transistor was born. I let me read to the world at below the bust of Alexander Graham Bell, and that she also Scottish-born American audiologist, best known inventor of telephone, and who stand for year of this, and this is what say. Leave the beaten track occasionally, dive into the wood. You will be certain to find something that you have never seen before. I think that's a very nice word. So I would tempt to leave the Japanese beaten track and into American diving wood. In 1950, fever of research, ESAKI diode spread over the United States. Number of research positions I was offered, so I went to this. I moved to the United States, accepting offer to this IBM Research Center in New York, which I thought I would provide desirable research environment. I was putting quantum principle into practical research, in which I was committed. 1973, I already mentioned to that. And in Lindau, there is some gathering of Nobel Laureate. This is the south of Germany, and this is 1947. This Lindau pictures is. This is the pictures. The Lindau. This is the 79, and this is a sort of meeting, and this is all Nobel laureate, and the Paul Dirac is still, he participated of this, he's swingers, and this very probably the famous person of that quantum mechanics. This interesting half person, Philip Bloch is half person here. Just Bloch is applied full machinery quantum mechanics problems, conductions, spreading development, modern theory of solid in 1930s, 1940s. The essence is here, periodic potential is crystal determined band structure and thus electronic property all. So I decided to control of this periodic structure. That's what my one of the ESAKI 2 proposed semiconductor superlattice man-made periodic structure, which is engineered by technique MBE after growing structures. And so this way we exhibit unprecedented electronic properties. The proposal is Bloch golden rule, periodic potential is crystal determined electronic stability. That's constant. Proposed our structure is much greater than we can control this 1 to 10 nanometers, and this substantially longer than that host crystal, but short of this. So we can make, this is one of the collaborator, Raphael too. He came from China to the original. So this picture is 90 long time ago. So this is a proposal to that we put in some periodic structure in this artificial periodic structure in this is PNPN, or this is different semiconductors. And so if you get interesting proposal, double barriers, and this. So proposed structures, this is do it yourself quantum mechanics. You can do, you practice your quantum mechanics, you design. So proposed advocating periodic structures by applying advanced technique after designing structure in accordance with principal quantum mechanics in such a way to exhibit desirable properties. So this is engineered versus natural quantum structure in search of desired properties. So this already mentions, and that's you can we can many things we can in the past in the only you can see to the textbook of the physics, but now you can practice Stark-Ladders, Bloch oscillations. Those things is that in the only we can observe of that our man-made structures. This is double barrier resonant tunnel diode. This is this is 1974, and this is very fast. Still, people used to the extremely high frequency to that this double barrier structures. Electrons go through in the resonant conditions to this negative resistance property you can get, and this kind of properties is that and the many people the observations ESAKI 2 negative resistance velocity that those paper is a lot of many paper published of this one, and possibility of amplification electronic wave. This is the soon after we invented this is very obvious, but some Russian Kazanov and Saris, the bright Russians immediately proposed to use of superlattice for amplification. And this is long after this 1902, Federico Capasso is that high power infrared superlattice laser, the use of this kind of structure for laser. So this observation, Bloch oscillation, this superlattice, we can many application superlattice, and this usually there is the technology can gap terahertz regions. That means to the many electron device is that frequency to the 100 megahertz and the sort of things. But then to the photonic device, if you frequency this right. But between here, it's kind of gap of this is 1 terahertz regions, not suitable amplifier. So that is one of these things to the Bloch oscillators. Those kind of device I developed that can be used of these areas. So ESAKI worked pioneer research on superas in 1970 to trigger wide spectrum experimental investigation, resulting in not only observation number of intriguing new phenomena, negative resistance, high electron mobility, large exciting, but many interesting effects we can observe. Many also many interesting devices which now using of this high frequency, generally high frequency area. So this is a study, it's very early study. IBM just 68. That's and this also enjoying to using MBE to at IBM Watson Research Centers. And when I retired in 1992 is that the many farewell party in honor of my IBM Research Center. That was 1992. I think the dozen Nobel laureates came to this. This is this Nico Bloombergen and this Willy Lam and Chen Yan, and this is when I received same to Eva gave us, and this is this what I thought Leroy Chan, not Leroy, he's Ray Tu, Raphael Tu, and Leroy Chan is a collaborator. Unfortunately, he passed away, but also here to that Klaus von Kriting here, and also the Heine Rollers, those the Bedonov. This is the Heine is at the electron microscope. So this IBM Research Center, Yorktown Heights, this is designed by Eero Saarinen. If you go New York area, you might have a chance to. That's beautiful. So in the entrance over here, to that, this just show to this IEEE milestone in electrical engineering and computing. T.J. Watson. So one of the milestones. Watson Center produced numerous seminal advances having worldwide impact in electrical engineering and computing. Semiconductor device innovation include dynamic DRAM superlattice crystal is one of they cited of this superlattice crystal. Okay, I came back. I gave to the Tsukuba University to the taught. And I got the superlattice. I got the Japan Prize 1948. So that's I had the opportunity to that's Their Majesties the parties. My wife is next to the Emperor of Japan. I'm a next Empress of Japan, so not so very often to that party of this one. So this is the most recent one to the Yokohama College of Pharmacy. To that, unfortunately, I don't know much about pharmacy, but so nanoscience, nanotechnologies. I just emphasized the first hope meeting was the nanoscience. Continued progress is nanolithography enables the creation nanometer scale feature on the microprocessor chip and development scanning tunneling microscope. That's what Heine Rollers invented. And 1980s, it dramatically improved access nanoworld. This development inspired advent nanoscale science and engineering in the started 1990s. Nanoscience, nanotechnology encompass the observation, understanding, design, publication, utilization, nanometer scale object. There are all many exciting challenges in research in the nano world, which was strongly interdisciplinary flavors. Prefix nano means the 1 billionth. 1 nanometer is what's called in here. Since limit of visibility, human eye 10 microns, we can see human hair is 50 microns across. As shown, I will show the figure later. In cell of multicellular organism like us measures range of few microns to few hundred, where the cell of unicellular like bacteria is much smaller than this one. Virus is a range 20. I will just show to the next picture. This is a little complicated picture, but this is comparative size from cell to atoms. Cell of multiple organisms like us is from few microns to several tens of microns. Human body is a fine-tuned system of interaction between 60 trillion cells. Average weight of each cell is 1 nanometer. So 1 nanometer times 60 trillion is 60 kilograms. So just about the body of a human. Certainly, just for your information, 1 nanogram, which corresponds to the weight of 30 trillion water molecules. So you can, all right, so this is the cell to the cell size multicellular organism like us. Then virus, cell of this bacteria is smaller than this one. And virus is a 20 to 20 nanometer scale. Really, virus is a subject of nano scale. I will mention Kataoka's polymeric missile for cancer treatment. This is using bullet to cancer. This is artificial cell. He made 20 to 100 nanometer to the attack to the cancer cell. Minimum feature size microprocessor chip. Microprocessor chip, one can manipulate. We can make our size material is something like 10 nanometers. Junction with ESAKI tunnel diode, 10 nanometers. Period of superlux, 10 nanometers. Period of diameter DNA double helix, approximately 3.4, 2.1 nanometers. So DNA is a subject of nanometer scale. Smaller diameter carbon nanotube is 2.2 nanometers. And certainly atom is smaller than nanometer, atom 0.2, 0.3 nanometer. Hydrogen is 0.1 nanometer. So this is the size of this. So this is this last year's chemistry prize. You know, your body is a fine-tuned system interaction between use of this word for this. Each cell, tiny receptor, enable it sense to the environment, it adapt to new environment. Robert Lebowitz and awarded last year's Nobel Prize chemistry. Ground discovery revealed inner working of the important family of such receptors. That's what the announcement of this Nobel Prize. So this is the Kataoka. I just mentioned his drug delivery, small particle. He made this is a self-assembly method. He made small polymeric missiles, and they have many drugs inside here, and this is the structures that his cell is that here, and they go. This is the cancer cell. So they go inside of this one, and at a particular acidity, and then the broken, and then intertract the low pH. Low pH is pH 7 is I think that neutral. So probably 5 or something like that just suddenly exploded, and this is this kind of so acidity 5.6. This is that linkage is broken, so that pH sensitive polymeric cells for intracellular drug release. So that this attacks this. This is the DNA, as I mentioned, the nanometer scale size. So I think this. Our modern civilization indeed create elaborate artificial environment, provide a large number of tool, instrument, machine, information processing system, which will replace. By the way, I should say, go little back. This idea here. This is this. I just emphasize to the Professor Kataoka. He's a professor of University of Tokyo Engineering. I think this is a really interdisciplinary approach. You understand? One is the pathology. One is the one is the medicine, and the also engineering, and the and also to the so many things combined. To this kind of interdisciplinary approach is the very important these days. I just emphasize over this. Our modern civilization indeed created elaborate tools, many things. Looking back, our course of development technology histories clearly show our ancestors made effort pushing human faculties, pushing human faculties limit. So this is like pushing our faculty of physical faculties. They invented many device machine, broke through the pre-existing limit of amount of physical work. So no, humans is only work is 100 watt or something like that, but they should use the bigger work of this one. And then pushing our mental facilities limit to give birth information processing machine. It continued to drive us to exploit immense potential of information technology since 20th century. So this is a sort of mental. They have a 21st century. What you are doing is pushing our longevity to the limit, has given birth to epoch-making biomedical technologies, 21st century, which you are doing. Our growing understanding of genetic DNA, its implication created potential like longer and healthy life. You probably already discussed here, pushing our longevity field of 21st century. Starting cancers, various lifestyle-related diseases can, in principle, genetically understood and treated in manner in a tailored DNA individual. It already, the last talk, you have this kind of thing, and the, if that thing approach, without that, we will be able to further reduce threat of disease. So that's, so this is what we like to do to this. So this ordinates health. Health zero is the death, and this health is 100%, and this is age. And at presently, to the in Japan, that's well, I think men is 80s and women's is 86. This is present Japanese age, but anyway, you have age discard. But if you we like to push like this way and push also up way. It's preventive medical care, personalized medicine. You already heard last previous talk. Proper exercise, body and mind, health diet, Mediterranean diet is one of the proposed advanced therapies. Many you can use the iPS cyborgs generation or anyway. So we'd like to have push this way and push this way, and we hopefully is probably when you live probably 100 years. That's what you should try. I just say this is the U.S. President Obama. He emphasized important basic research. Appointed Stephen Chu, 1997 Nobel Laureate Physics, Secretary of State. Dr. Chu came from distinguished family of Chinese, and actually the early 1999 in Tsukuba, we had a big conference, and we invited Chu to participate on the panel and the international conference held at Tsukuba. As it, two questions: what sort of advance will science make in 21st century? What advance can be anticipated in each of your field? At this conference, the answer, the panelists, we engage many panelists. I just sort of paraphrase of that Chu, what his answer is. Sorry. Chu said that, he said, there is nothing special I can say about what might occur in 21st century. He didn't want to discuss of this at all. I think it might be more useful to step back instead of ahead in time. There is much more history can tell. That's what his answer. What should we know or predict about today when he said he was born 50 years ago? I think he was born 1948 or something like that. So at that time, this is a little more than 10 years ago story. So that's who at that time I could have predict today's standard model, a definite theory of fundamental constant matter, for example, or within 25 we would have discovered so much about subatomic particles. Double helix structure DNA was discovered in 1953. Back then, it would have been possible to foresee research being advanced these days in such a field as molecular biology or genomics. That's what he said. If there is predict science 21st centuries, we would have to, based on what we currently know. However, nothing new can spring from knowledge already possessed. Look back, one discovery has been unpredictable. New discoveries have been unpredictable, surprise, product of sudden leap in knowledge. They occur in way answered by us. It isn't this precisely what is so marvelous about science. That thought, I believe, befitting top-notch scientists. However, it is possible top-notch engineer might give an answer quite different. Science and engineer, I'd like to contrast of this one. This is Stephen Chu's that I took a New York Times article of this. Now I would like to think about progress science silicon integrated circuit. This is enormous advance of the computing of this one to that. So it measured by number of transistor dynamic random access. Gordon Moore is the founder of Intel, and she predicted Moore's law since inception of integrated circuit. Number of transistors incorporated in new chip has increased by factor 2 every 18 months with remarkable regularity. I understand half of this increase have come from regular reduction of size of feature on chip, and other half from design improvement or increase in chip size. But anyway, this is as you see this year and this number of chip. So complexity. So this is really follow to that Moore's law as this really straight of this. Chip industry preparing begin to this transition from microprocessor chip based on minimum size 20 to 14 nanometer. Rapid advance of compute performance last decade, this improvement, silicon. Here, could say the technology is wonderfully contrary to that predicted. So you can, as far as this is concerned, generally engineering, you can predict in this is the contrary. So now how to win Nobel Prize. I already mentioned the group meeting, so that somebody already know, but anyone interested in realizing how creative potential to know this one. Rule number 1, don't allow yourself to be trapped by your past experience. Don't hold on to your preoccupied notion. If you allow yourself got caught up in social convention circumstance, you will notice the opportunity, dramatic leap forward present itself. You should be free spirit. Looking back history, most laureate has received Nobel Prize work done during 30s. In my case, 31. Albert Einstein, many famous work is at age 26, and even general relativity is only 36. So the point I'm trying to make is because of candor, younger people are able to think, look at the clever visions, one that is not crowded by social convention. Number 2, don't allow yourself to become overly attached to any authority you have feel great professor perhaps. By becoming closely involved with great professor, you risk losing sight of yourself, forfeiting the free spirit of youth. Although great professor may be awarded Nobel Prize, it is unlikely that subordinate researcher will ever receive it. Rule number 3, don't hold on what you don't need. The information-oriented society facilitates easy access to enormous amount of information. Brain can compare the personal computer with energy consumption about 25 watt only. In terms of memory capacity, computing speed, human brain has not yet changed much since ancient times. Therefore, we must constantly input the definition. We should save only vital, relevant information. As a president of the university, I have opportunity to meet many people with the exchange name card with them. I try to discard the name card as soon as possible so that I will keep maximum memory space. I'm kidding. Rule number 4, don't avoid confrontation. I myself became embroiled dispute with many companies or many seniority. I was working many years. At time necessary, put yourself first to that, for self-defense. Last one, number 5, don't forget your spirit of childhood curiosity is a vital component for imagination. Having listed 5 rules, let me say that they do not constitute sufficient condition for success. They are merely suggested guidelines. So this I will skip over this one. So this is, I got the Nobel Prize 1973, but just make sure that this is Lorentz and Tinbergen. You probably heard of this. So at that time, those people is more popular than physicists, actually. So we physics with 3 people, we share quantum mechanical electron tunneling Nobel Prize about the PhD thesis actually separate. So this average age is 42. The physiology or medicine, 1973. This is the Carl von Frisch. He studied of bee. You probably know. Konrad Lorenz is, I think, a goose, and the Tinbergen is a seagull. So individual social behavior pattern in animal, they call ethologies. The ethology is very popular in the 1940s. So this old area. So just I counted average age is the Nobel laureate 74. So big difference. Many people know Solomon's ring. He published 1947 in one bestsellers in field of astrology, which is a story of communication between Lorentz science mind and animal's heart. If you put in the Solomon's ring, you can talk about this. So this is what 3 people award, and this more people change with the time. So this last new breakthrough in life science was just announced last week. So this you have a chance to receive someday in the future, and recognized excellence is curing intractable disease, extending human life. That's what. In 11 prizes received US 3 million US, probably 6 times more than Nobel, 3 times more than Nobel Prize. So that, but anyway, it's that Professor Shinya Yamanaka, a Japanese receiver of this one. It's a significant funding sponsor is such a great entrepreneur in the internet relators, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, and this is wife Chan, and Google founders, Sergey Brin. He came from, I think, Russians. His wife, Anne Wizik, Apple board chairman Art Levinson, and also Russian Yuri Milner. They agreed to establish 5 million anyway. To that, I just what he said. Interesting thing. I believe this new prize shine light on extraordinary achievement, outstanding mind in the field of life science, enhance medical innovation. We need medical innovation. I think you will do the medical innovation. Curing disease should be worth more than touchdown. I think the American people is many young people interested more sports than the touchdown is touchdown is American football. This everything great, but he said is that this last thing, Yuri Milner, he get PhD Moscow University and physics, I believe. So what he said, solving enormous complexity human disease called for much bigger effort compare fundamental physics. So I'm a physicist. I think time to quit talking. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor ESAKI, for interesting lecture. Now the session is open to questions and comments. Please feel free to raise your hands.
Thank you for nice talk. So I have a question about the quantum mechanics in living system.
What means
Quantum mechanics in
Quantum
living
mechanics.
system. As you say, that in living system, the nanoscale, for example, enzyme or proteins are located in nanoscale and localized, and also the proton or electron were related to the chemical reaction.
All those kinds of chemical materials is
Yeah, so therefore, please give me.
quantum mechanically they explained already
Yeah.
to all everything to already many feature is a result of that quantum mechanical.
Yeah,
If
so-
you go to far, the bonding is that certainly you can explain quantum mechanically. So everything is explained. So I'm talking about when 66 years ago, not so many people know quantum mechanics, so that's what. But now is everything your chemistries or organic chemistries results of that quantum mechanical treatment, I think.
Yeah. So could you give me some example, the interesting phenomena which you are thinking in the living system from the viewpoint of the quantum physics?
Well, I think the quantum mechanics certainly everything basis to that. Suppose some properties that any medicines, anything to that natures explain, but more more basis bonding. Everything is quantum mechanically explained. That no other things so basic to that. no need to mention individual example of this one. When if some hydrogens, Niels Bohr explained the structure of the atoms, hydrogens, and also waters. You can create everything quantum mechanically explained. This is just early 20th centuries. This is big things. So every science, modern science started on the quantum mechanically. Not only physics, every chemistry or anything, all things is that. If you go nano size, certainly quantum mechanical effect play a very important role. So that's what.
Next question.
So that's.
Thank you, Prof. ESAKI.
Yes.
My question is related to transistors. It's good to see that the current trend in the number of transistors in a chip is follows the Moore's law. My question is that as number of transistors and is getting smaller and smaller, so
Yes.
there are many challenges that, of
Sure.
course, we will experience, like basic lithography can have.
Sure, that should be some limitations. They
Yeah.
cannot continue
Yes.
indefinitely. So when this now is interesting is when that law violate. I mean, so
Yes, yes.
this is basically getting smaller. This is so they using the technique optics, the certain limit of to make. I myself very surprised how you can make such a small features, 14 nanometer. I don't understand, but people working over this areas, so how getting smaller. So, and I think the present approach, there must some limitation. The alternative is probably you have heard is quantum computing. Quantum computers using the quantum devices that's totally different. You can enormous fast parallel computers. In principle you can make quantum. So you have to change over I don't know. This is a good word. So the research, quality research and quantity research. You can. So this is a sort of quantity research getting so. Quality research is more science is quality. You can do more innovation. I mean, totally change vacuum tube to transistor. This is a sort of quality change, not just quantity change. So generally, if you can predict any quantities size, for instance, you can predict the future to the Moore's law, but what kind of expect something new, some unpredicted. That is the interesting part of science. That many, Stephen Chu said you cannot predict the future. That is quite right. So you should do something new, which is unpredictable. So I think all of these people here to do not only extension in the past, and you have to do something new, unpredictable. I hope you can do things which I cannot predict. Okay, so that's what interesting science, and that's really essence of science. That's what.
Yes, thank you.
Next question. We still have time for a short question. Yeah.
Thank you for your nice talking. So my question is, what do you think about Nobel Prize laureates average old age? So what do you think? Why the average age of physics laureates are younger than another region.
This is, I should emphasize, this is not a general theory. This is this is only particular year, 1973, that year which is physics is concerned, the nominated get to the PhD thesis. Usually PhD thesis right to the 30 or something like that. So I did the 1957. I did so. 16 years I have to wait to get a Nobel Prize. All right, so I got 48. I received. So many people get PhD so young. But the other is the animal studies, behavior animals, the ethology studies. Those is the field is rather old 1940s, 1950s. Those areas is certainly so. People contributed getting old, so 70s. So this is at the moment this average age. I don't know that recent Yamanaka in the Japanese Shinya Yamanaka. He is 50 years old. So that's so if you receive too young, you have some problems with this. If you get too old, maybe you're already done. So the 50 is a good age to receive. I guess you can do something. So you should try to get the Nobel Prize something like 50, not younger, not older. All right. So this is my suggestion.
Thank you so much.
Well, we are running out of time, so I would like to close this session and let's thank Professor ESAKI.
Thank you very much.